Welcome, Taurus and Taurus cross watchers, to your second half of June reading for 2023. So hope you guys have had a wonderful day, and thanks for stopping by my channel today. So we're starting off with the Fool. All right. Oops. We have the Page of Wands. It feels like there's, hold on. Hold on for a second. We're going to get one more. Wow. Okay. So Taurus, I feel like there's something really chaotic going on in the background. I feel to a certain extent you seem to be protected from it somehow. I feel like it's almost like it's so unbalanced it can't seem to reach you. I feel like you are, it's almost like you may have, this is kind of what it feels like. It's like somebody had two offers for you, right? And maybe they looked the same, but you felt drawn to this one, right? So it's like you chose this one, and maybe this one had $100 and a scratch ticket, and this one had $500, right? So you're like, ah, oh, dang it. But you get it, and you get this scratch ticket, not realizing that there's a lot more to that one than just the $500 in the other hand, right? And I feel like the really beautiful thing about this is it doesn't feel like you actually like wish that you had chosen the $500 or wish that you had done this or that, right? It's like you accept whatever you made the choice as and you're happy with it and you're going to live with it, and that's that, right? I feel like whatever it is, it really feels like you are feeling that maybe you don't have everything, but it does feel like you're quite satisfied. It's almost like maybe you aren't where you want to be, but you know dang well that you're on your way there. So, just looking at which deck we're going to use. All right. What's going on in love? Eight of Swords with the Ace of Pentacles. So, I don't feel like this is necessarily your energy. It feels like this is kind of something that you've left behind. I feel like there may be someone, hold on. There seems to be some memory or feeling or something like that that seems to be, it's almost like someone might think you have something locked deep and away. And I feel like whatever it is that they think you've got locked away, you don't. You know what I mean? It's not as potent as this person thinks it should be or thinks that it is, right? It's almost like maybe this person's really hung up on you, but you were, even if you were hung up on them, you aren't anymore, right? I kind of feel like there's someone, this may be specific, okay? I feel like there's someone new that's like a reformed, changed person, right? I feel like there's somebody here that you may meet that it's almost like they may present this certain, please don't pay attention to the gender, right? This person may or may not identify as any gender. It's the energetics of it. I feel like this person presents as this Queen of Pentacles energy, right? That person that kind of looks like they have it all together. But I feel like you're going to see in them that's not all there is to the story. I feel like you're going to see that there's a lot more to them. It doesn't feel like you're going to, go digging or whatever. It doesn't feel like it. I almost want to say that doesn't feel like it's terribly important to you. I feel like you're more focused on who they are now rather than who they were. And what's interesting is I feel like this person may be in a position where they feel like they have to prove that they're not this person anymore. And maybe that speaks to their own experience, right? It's almost like they just expect to have to prove who they are by showing what they have. So, I'm going to pull a clarifier on this person. Okay, here we go. Hold on. I feel like there's something really important here. It's almost like there may be a person attached to this one, or an entity, or it definitely feels like this person seems to be having an easier time than they expect keeping themselves in this energy and not falling back into that. But I feel like that's actually because there's someone here that's kind of had their back. I also feel that this person, I almost want to say like, they remember, I want to say they remember what it felt like when they were in this energy, right? And it's almost like, and if ever they need a reminder as to why they have to keep doing what they're doing, or why they have to keep pushing, I feel like all they have to do is remember that sorrow. I feel like it's actually closer to them than they realize. Not so much that it's inside them and they're going to carry that sadness with them, but I do feel that they carry something from it as a reminder, not as an emotional dampener, right? Or something to take them down, but they keep that in their, it's almost like they keep it in the back of their mind to keep themselves humble. It's like it's almost the kind of energy of somebody that maybe they are very affluent, right? But they remember a time when they weren't. They remember what it felt like to be like that. So I feel like to people that this person really wants to connect with, they may feel they have something to prove, but I feel like to the general person, this one seems to be very careful about not shoving their wealth in other people's faces, if that makes sense. So, just looking at which deck we're going to use to ask that question. 1 second. Okay. I'm just going to make sure the deck is upright. Okay. Can we get 3 cards for Taurus? Okay. So we have the Queen of Cups, which, oh my gosh, look at this card. I know my camera might not be that good to pick up all the imagery, but it's just gorgeous. Oops. We have the Four of Cups reversed. Excellent. So we have the Three of Voices. That would be the Three of Swords. And then we have the Nine of Cups with the Ten of Swords. Okay, so just a second here. I'm kind of getting here, Taurus, that you seem to feel like there's something that you want, but a sacrifice has to be made, right? It's like, yes, you really want this particular thing, but it's like you're readily willing to sacrifice whatever needs to be sacrificed in order to get what you want here. And it's almost like you don't mind having to sit in the cold, dark sort of energy. It's almost like because you know, hold on. I mean, of course you know that the sun's going to rise tomorrow, but it's almost like you don't mind being in a certain type of place or a certain type of energy, because I feel like, number one, you know your energy isn't a match to that. You know that you can kind of, it's like maybe you're surrounded by the cold and dark, but you know that you're warm and light, right? And I feel like you know that you only have to stay in that place for a short time. So it's almost like, I don't know why this is what I'm seeing, but I'm kind of seeing you meditating, not in this type of energy, but just kind of like meditating in a place where it's cold and dark, and it's almost like you kind of get lost in yourself. And I feel like you seem to be expecting to hear someone talking. It's like, I feel like you know that someone's coming, like a good, it's something you're looking forward to. It's something that you know is coming. Something that you know is coming, something that you can, it's almost like you, I almost want to say like, I can't even explain it. You just know. You know what I mean? And it's almost like there's nothing that's going to get inside you that's going to tell you it's not. And that's why it seems to be so, it's almost like people might be looking at you like, oh, I don't know how Taurus is making that sacrifice and da 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 da. And meanwhile, you're over here like, psh, you know what I mean? It's not even it's a non-issue to you. So I think we're going to pull for, so we're going to do for Tauruses. What's the plural? If you know, please let me know in the comments. So those of you in a connection and those of you that are single. So for Taurus in a relationship, I feel like you know that this person needs time to adjust to what you're doing, right? It's like maybe you know and you can feel that, like, that it's coming. I feel like you know that it's going to almost like cause a bit of distance between you and your person. I feel like they may have memories of failed efforts before, right? But it's almost like, but you know that there's a way that you're going to be able to inspire this person to kind of believe in what's going on. It's almost like you just know that they need a little bit of time to sort it out for themselves. And then you know that they're going to come, I almost want to say like come alongside you and fight whatever fight. It doesn't feel like it's a fight. It doesn't feel like it's, you know, that ominous, okay? It's almost like, I want to say, you know that this person will come alongside you and kind of walk this walk with you. But I actually feel for those of you that you're kind of questioning that, it doesn't really, it feels like it doesn't matter if they do or not. You know what I mean? Of course, maybe you want them there, right? But it's not necessary for you to do what you're doing. We can clarify here. So we have strength with the Five of Wands. I feel like this person really admires you. You know what it feels like? It feels like you're taking kind of like, I mean, obviously you're taking a chance on yourself, right? Because you're believing that that you can kind of sit in that dark place and be the light for as long as is required. And I feel like this person actually sees you as being quite brave. It does feel like you're able to inspire them. Regardless of the circumstances, it's almost like you doing what you're doing. When this person thinks about whether or not they can do something, they're kind of like, well, I don't know. And it's almost like they start to remember what you did. And if they're like, well, Taurus can do that, I can probably, you know what I mean? Like, I can sure do this. And it's not a statement on like, oh, if Taurus can do this. It's more like it's inspiring. It's almost like their base level of belief in themselves, because you've done what you've done, their base level of believing in themselves has risen as well, if that makes sense. And I feel like it's one of those things where when people maybe ask this person about you, or, you know, what's Taurus been doing, been up to lately, it's almost like it's still a bit unbelievable to them. They might laugh, not because they're uncomfortable, but almost out of like shock. Maybe not. It's almost like it seems almost absurd, and not in a negative way, right? But it's almost like what you're doing is so unfathomable to most people that when this person tells people, they almost expect them not to believe them, because it seems to them, it seems so extraordinary what you're doing. So for Taurus singles, we have the Four of Wands. Hold on. I'm kind of feeling a couple different things with this, so just give me a second here, please. It's almost like there seem to be people here that are kind of like pulling. It's almost like they're trying to invite you or attract you to come over and kind of like hang out with them, so to speak. And it does feel like the energy that they're in is like, you know, warm and light as opposed to the energy that you're in. But it's almost like that environment doesn't draw you over. There isn't anything that's appealing about it right now. It's almost like you're in this stage where you're more like learning and evolving and growing, right? So it's almost like you kind of don't feel as much of a desire to go and celebrate, and it's nothing to do with these people or what they're offering. It's more about, excuse me. It's almost like these people have built something for themselves, and that's great, but you want to build something for yourself, right? So it's almost like if that means that you have to make sacrifices in the meantime, then that's what that means. And I almost feel like it's almost like you're going to be setting the standard with these people about what you can and cannot give, in terms of your time and your energy, right? While you're building what you're building. And I feel like you have a pretty healthy mindset. Not that you're going to be, you know, deserting people or whatever, but I feel like you're looking at it like, I have to build what I need to build. This is what I'm doing for me. And the people around me, they're going to have to understand that that means that I have to, you know, sometimes sacrifices have to be made. And I feel like, I almost want to say like these two, and maybe for some of you, anybody that knows you knows that when there's really something that means a lot to you, you're going to do it. I feel like some people might see that as stubborn. I know that's like a keyword for Tauruses. But I feel like actually what's going on here is that you're following your heart. And I feel like it's almost like they may still be inviting you, but I want to say they would be surprised to see you before you make the progress that you want to make. You know what I mean? It's almost like they kind of don't expect to see you until you're where you want to be. And it's almost like, and if you grow in another direction, hold on for a sec. It does feel like you are growing in another direction. It doesn't mean that there's, you know, no connection there, no relationship there, but it does feel like you're kind of finding your own way here. How do I say this? And I feel like there's a lot of really great memories, a lot of really warm, kind of like comforting times that you had. But it's almost like it's not time for comfort. It's time for like inspiration and forward movement and growth. Can we get one more for Taurus? Five of Cups. So we did get and Five of Pentacles. That's the Five of Cups twice here. Okay, so I'm going to be honest here, Taurus. I feel like as you're kind of walking on this path, I'm sorry to say, but I feel like there's going to be something that kind of falls off that you weren't expecting. It's almost this energy of like you're feeling kind of like inspired to move forward, and you despite certain things that may have happened, you don't feel like you want to stop or anything. And I feel like this loss doesn't make you want to stop, but it definitely feels like it's not something that you expected to lose. It feels like it's something that it's almost like a main character in your story makes an exit. And I feel like you do obviously seem to come to an understanding, and you understand and accept why whatever happened. But it definitely feels like when you set out on this path, you definitely did not know that you'd have to lose this. You know what I mean? It's almost like I feel like you still would have done it, but it would have felt more almost like a duty or an obligation rather than something that you were kind of following your heart with. So, on that note, I think we're just going to pull one more card. I want to say, because we have the Justice at the bottom of the deck, I actually feel like there's this energy of, yes, of course, you experience that loss. I'm not going to minimize it. But I feel like it's almost like you remember, again, I'm not trying to minimize it, that you've had your heart broken before. Do you know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that, you're not feeling the loss. It's not trying to take away those emotions that are real. But it does feel like the way that you kind of are able to pull yourself out of that energy is it's almost like, well, I've had my heart broken before. You know what I mean? And I feel like there seems to be something about that kind of train of thought that allows you to keep going, right? It's like, I almost want to say maybe where you are, where it's cold and dark, it gets a little bit darker. But I feel like you find a way to stay the same warm and bright energy, right? It's like whatever's going on externally does not affect your internal state. And it's not because, someone's given you that. You're making that happen. So I think I'll leave it there, Taurus. If this reading resonated, I hope it was helpful. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Much love. Bye.